Hey everybody, welcome back. If you're new here, hi, I'm Mercury. Welcome to my channel. It's my daily vlog, so whatever I'm up to is what you're gonna see. And today, we might be wrapping up the R2d2 pillow. It all depends on if I can get a pillow form for the inside, but the plan is to wrap up the R2d2 pillow. So, as a reminder, this is where we left off. Looking good, right? But also, I continue to knit the back. So the back is just stockinette stitch, just one color, and I still have it on my circular needles right now. So I didn't show that because it was very straightforward. I do have a video I did of how to do a stockinette stitch, so I can throw a link up one of these sides for how to do that. But that's all that the back of this pillow was just stockinette. So now we're up to another one of those stitches that is something that is new to me and a stitch I have not done before. And it's called a Kitchener stitch. And to do that, I'm gonna need to go grab another circular needle, because if you remember in part one of this, I did what was called a provisional cast on, which meant I actually crocheted a chain, which you can see here, and I knitted into that crochet chain instead of doing a standard cast on. Well, now I'm gonna have to undo that crochet chain and put this onto a second circular needle, and then I'm going to need my tapestry needle, right? Or yarn needle. Remember, it's this little needle. It's kind of blunt. This is not a sharp tip. And the eyelet is big enough to accommodate yarn. And we're going to use that tapestry needle to basically stitch back and forth and close the seam on this. So that's what I'm up to. So let me go grab another circular needle and I'll show you what I'm doing. So to start, I have a spare circular needle. And again, it's a needle with two ends that are connected by like a wire or a cord, right? So the next thing that I have to do is that initial crochet chain. I took the knot out of the end, and I'm going to very carefully pull on this tail, because this will undo that entire crochet chain from the beginning. And as I'm doing it, I need to slip those loops onto this double-ended circular needle. Okay? So that is what we're about to do. So here goes. Oh, don't want to drop it. And I'm going about 3 or 4 stitches at a time. There we go. And I'm just going to keep doing this all the way to the end. So I have 2 sets, 2 different circular needles, one running through each end. So there's one running through this blue and one running through the white over here. And let me show you how to do this Kitchener stitch. So we're gonna learn how to do this together. So I have my pieces end to end over here. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna slide these onto the needle portion. Oops. There we go. Now what I did, I cut an extremely long tail of the blue because it needs to cover pretty much there and back, so I'm going to be doing like zigzag. So it's going to have to be very, very long. So it's a little bit concerning, but we'll try our best to keep it untangled. Then I threaded the yarn needle. So that's all set up. Before we get going with it, there is a setup stitch that has to be done. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tapestry needle and come in to this stitch here this way. So again, I'm coming to the front towards my left hand. It's going to go that way. And I'm going to pull all of this massive tail through. It's going to take me a hot minute. There's a lot of tail here. Okay. Now, we just went through this way. Now I'm going to set up on the first stitch on the blue. And instead of going this way, we're going to go this way. So also on the front side of the needle, just at the other angle. So I'm going to do that, and again, pull this massive tail through. That is the downside to working with larger projects like this. You need a lot of tail. Okay, and that is the setup stitch. Okay, now the next step, I'm coming back to the front, and I'm going to come through to the front, but from the opposite side that I came through originally. So I'm coming through this way. So I'm coming through sort of like along with the knitting needle, as opposed to before where I was going against it like a T. Now I'm kind of going through it parallel. And again, with this massive tail, I'm gonna get all this tail through first. Oh, don't lose that stitch over there. I saw that. Keep this from tangling. Okay. Then from here, this first stitch can come off the needle. And then, I'm gonna just give that a little tug. Then we're gonna come through the front stitch the opposite way that we just went through. So we're coming through this way again. Massive tail. Oh my gosh. I get the sense this part is going to take me a little while, just because I have to keep pulling this tail back and forth. Okay, we're leaving this on the needle. Now we're going to the back. Now we're going to do the same thing on the blue side. So we're going to go in the same direction we just went in on the white. So we just went in on that stitch this way. We're going to do the same thing on this blue. So we're going to go in that way. Get all this tail through without causing any major knots. Okay, and now that stitch can come off. And now, just like before, we're going to come through on the blue in the opposite direction. And again, with the pulling of the tail. Okay, and that one stays on the needle. And we give a little tug, and we come back to the front. I'm going to continue along with this. The tail is really what's going to take me the long time, is because it's so long. I keep having to pull it all the way through each time. But the stitch itself, it's pretty straightforward. It's almost like fabric theory or yarn theory, you know, of like how to tie a knot. It's the concept of like knowing where your yarn is going, and you're basically making this smooth stitch edge. So I will keep going, and I will show you what it looks like once it's all together. Okay, I finished the Kitchener stitch. It was actually, I found it very annoying. In part because the tail was so long, but also as I started getting to the end, the double pointed needles, the circular needles, kept falling out and dropping stitches, and I had to keep picking it up and re-hooking onto all of my stitches. There were a few times that like I was pulling the yarn through and it pulled the stitch off and it undid some of the knitting, and I had to go in and do reparative stitches. Once I got the groove going, it wasn't so bad, but even still, like, I found it annoying. Not gonna lie, I found the Kitchener stitch annoying. But I finished it. No more Kitchener snit. Oh my gosh, no more Kitchener stitch needed for this project. So I'll show you what I got. I have to do a mattress stitch on the sides, but at this point I need a pillow form. I need to give the pillow its fluff. So there's not a Joann's near me, but there is a Michael's and a Home Goods. So I'm gonna go on a little adventure, see if I could find a pillow that will fit this shell. The other thing, the pattern called for a particular size, and I think this is much bigger. This is much bigger than what the pattern called for. And that just is a question of gauge and my, you know, stitch sizes and the tension that I use. Everyone's a little different. So I have to measure this to see what kind of pillow is going to fit. But before that, let me show you how that Kitchener stitch looked. So here it is. We'll kind of do this so you could see. But this seam, this is where I did that Kitchener stitch. And it's actually like, it looks really pretty. Like it makes this weave into this very seamlessly. And I think that looks really great. I mean, I definitely like the end result. So that is what it looks like. And then the inside, it is a seam like this. Okay, I made a quick trip to Home Goods because Michael's did not have any pillow forms, and I found a pillow at Home Goods. So it's like, it's the exact size I needed. So let me show you. I did the mattress stitch down the side. I left one side open, so I will show you how to do the mattress stitch on the open side, which is the same that I did on the closed side. And this is where I'm at. So here we are. I put the pillow inside. And this is it. So 3 sides are closed. And we just have to close up that open side. Beep, boop, beep. So the way to do the mattress stitch is you have the right sides facing up next to each other like this. And what you do is you work in the bars next to the first row. So you see how I'm spreading this out, and there are the bars, right? So these bars are the stitches we're going to be working with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to the bottom and I'm going to find the first bar. So I have to spread this out a little bit. Okay, here's the first bar. So I'm going to go in and out, just like that. Okay, and I'm going to pull this all the way through. And yes, I'm still working with some crazy amounts of tail here. Then I'm going to come over to this blue side and spread this out. Same thing, I'm looking for that bar, for the first bar. Spread it out. There's the first bar. So again, it's under and out, right? And we pull this through. And then we go back and forth. So then we go back to this side, and we find this bar, and go under and through. Oops, this is the problem with the tail, is it likes to snag. But that's okay. And we go back to this blue side, and this is the next bar. And we give it a little tug to make it tight. And I'm just going to keep going back and forth just like this. And you could also, before I pull all that tail through, pick up the one side, then the other side, right? So you see I picked up the white side, now I'm picking up the blue side, now I'm pulling the tail through. And it just, you know, it saves the pulling of the tail for one side of it. So again, if you're gonna do that as sort of like a combined thing, you do the white side, which is again, scoop under the bar, and then come over and do the blue side. Right there. And then we pull the tail through. And just tighten that up. And I'm just gonna keep going with that all the way down. I am pretty excited. I am all done. R2d2 pillow complete. Let me show you. Here is the finished R2d2 pillow. So you'll see along the edges, this is the mattress stitch over here. And if we turn it on its side, this stitch over here, this is that stitch that was a little bit challenging for me. Oh no, oh no. You know what? Let me show you how to fix this. Oh no. There's a few options on how to fix this, and I know exactly when this happened. But when I was doing that stitch, there were a couple of times the yarn came flying off the needle, and I am positive that this happened then. So the way you can fix this with a yarn needle, you could fix this with knitting needles. I'm going to use a crochet hook to fix it. So I'm going to zoom in and show you what I'm doing. So here's the loop. We're going to go through the loop and grab that, and then through the loop and grab it. And again, went through the middle of a yarn. There we go. Okay, one more. Okay, so you can see I have it down to this loop. Now I need to attach this. So I'm gonna just take some yarn on a yarn needle and just basically sew it into place. I'm gonna tack it down. So I have some blue yarn on this yarn needle. Gonna make a slip knot at the end. What I'm going to do is I'm going to arrange it so the slip knot ends up on the inside. So I'm going to kind of go through here and back out, right? And I'm going to pull this all the way through, and I'm going to feed the yarn needle through the slip knot so that it's attached, right? I pull that knot through. Okay. I'm going to just sort of tuck that to the inside there. Okay, and I will trim that tail afterward. Now I'm going to take the yarn needle and go through the loop that was on the crochet hook and pull it through. And I'm just going to attach it to the yarn it's supposed to be attached to. Just a quick little tack. And then I'm gonna go through one more time on the yarn next to it, and I'm gonna tie it off. So I'm gonna go around 1, 2 and pull that through, because that's how I tie things off. And I'm just gonna use this crochet hook to pull these tails under. There we go. All better. So that's how you fix that. So now that that's fixed, let me just give it a once over here. Okay, that was the only little issue there. But R2's done. We did it. So with that, I am done for now. And I will see everybody tomorrow. And until then, stay inspired. Bye, everyone. Take care. Beep, boop, beep.